And Jenny go boom.
Are you supposed to be walking without crutches?
No.
They just said lightweight, and I'm like, oh,
Where are your crutches?
In his office.
Okay. He's hurt.
Okay, Mr. Administrator.
Junior. Ken, how you doing? Doing all right?
Perfect timing. How you doing, Steve?
How's everything going?
He's got some.
Barely?
Great.
I know that they were tired. You gotta wear your bonnet for a little while now.
Okay, I show 7 o'clock. Everybody hear me okay? Susan, you ready? We can get started. Invocation, Reverend Dill, would you pray for us, Stephen?
If you're so inclined, I invite you to pray with us. Father, we give you thanks for this day. We give you thanks for the ability to be here and to do this work. Help us tonight to think and act and do in ways that are good and pleasing to you and to the people of this town. In your name we pray. Amen.
First on the agenda, we have readings of several minutes, meetings for the 11th. April 11th, April 12th, a public hearing on April 26th, special called meeting on April 26th. Should be in your packet. We need to do these individually? No. I will entertain a motion on those reading of minutes.
I make a motion that we adopt the reading of all 4 sets of minutes. Do I need to name them?
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is for approval of minutes for April 11th, 2022, special call meeting on the 12th, April 12th, 2022, public hearing on April 26th, 2022, special called meeting April 26th, 2022. Any discussion? All those in favor? Raise your right hand. None opposed. Thank you. We also have an amendment to minutes that were previously approved for March the 14th, 2022. That's line 98 to 108, if you've had a chance to take a look at that. I will entertain a motion on that amendment.
I move that we approve amendment to the approved minutes dated 3/14/2022, line 98 through 108.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion on the table is to an amendment to the approved minutes for March 14th, 2022, line 98 through 108. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. None opposed. We'll now enter into public session. We have 30 minutes for public session. If you would like to offer some comments, we would love to hear them. If you've signed in, we'd certainly appreciate that. Otherwise, come on up and say hello.
Hello, everyone. Can you
Hello.
hear me? All right. My name's Nick Rader. I own a house right here in Central. I am a 2-war veteran, and I also am a PhD candidate and an instructor at Clemson, so I'm familiar with some federal and legislation. So I'm thinking state and federal situations with the Lawton Road debacle, all right? And I know that we've been promised environmental impact reports like that, but I want to bring to everyone's attention the idea of emergency preparedness, just the idea that FEMA and the Office of the Inspector General requires there to be certain emergency preparedness in communities. And that's what I'm worried about with this new Lawton Road construction going on. It's a matter of, there's just so much stuff coming in a lot of different directions. I've been told that the fire department does have one truck that can get under the bridge if there's ever a situation. But was it a week ago, 4 days ago, we had a tornado warning? So I'm thinking if a tornado ever does, God forbid, touch down in Central, and there's a train sitting on the tracks, what's that one truck gonna really do to a larger problem? So what I would like to bring to attention, or at least just ask the question and maybe get answers, is at what point or at what level do those reports pulled by the investing company that's building, how do they address emergency preparation? That's what I want to bring to the floor. That's my ultimate issue or concern. I know we can't stop progress, but I hope that we can manage it, right? So I would just like that to be addressed at one point, or if anybody else can speak to that, that would be great. But I would just like to know where the town of Central is on that matter. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I don't know, I mean, can we give him an answer?
The chief said,
Chief, can we give him an answer?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
we do participate in Pickens County. All federal, state guidelines are met with any emergency preparedness, hazmat, anything to do with that. We have two 1,500-gallon pumper fire trucks sitting in a station on 202 Church Street that can go under the underpass.
Okay.
We have a 2,000-gallon tanker that can go under the underpass. We have our Station 2 that is a relationship with the county rural fire that we have a contract we're responsible for that has a station across from Daniel High School. We have two pumpers there that's 1,500 gallons a minute that can come back up under the underpass this way. And we do have all of our plans routed, our guys are trained, and we don't worry about the train, okay? The train is a problem, don't get us wrong, and we do have issues with it, but we're prepared, trained, and managed for all of that.
Okay, and that makes me feel comfortable, but was there ever any kind of report done? Like, is this all just based on, has there been any official emergency preparedness legislation?
We're all associated with Pickens County EOC.
Okay,
Denise, she handles all of that. All guidelines with local, state, and federal government are met. We participate, we train with them. She has all the credentials you need.
okay, and,
If you call the city hall tomorrow, they will give you the numbers to get a hold of the guys at the fire department. We'll give you any kind of paper you request.
that, thank you, and that's at the Pickens City Hall?
Town of Central. You
Okay.
call the town of Central, and
Roger.
they'll get you hooked up to the right guys,
Yes, sir, thank you.
okay?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name is Keith Abercrombie, and I have a couple of questions tonight. Probably the first one is starting with the Planning Commission. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Ms. Paige Bowers is in charge of that. Paige, right now, how many people do we have on the Planning Commission?
4,
Normally, do we have 4? Do we have 5 normally?
5. And
Uh,
I'm asking for it to be raised to 7.
Okay, it's hard to hear you with those masks on.
Get the microphone a little bit closer to you.
It's going to 7.
Yes,
Do you know when it's going to 7?
we'll have the reading next month, and I'll
Okay.
have applicants or candidates that will vote on it that time.
Right, okay. Are you gonna fill that one vacancy that you have right now before you add the other 2?
No, sir.
You're gonna do all 3 at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me, what are the qualifications to be on the Planning Commission?
You need to be a citizen of the town of Central and express your interest in that.
Okay. So does the Planning Commission, do they have the final say on zoning and plats and things of that nature over the town council? Do they have the final say, or does the town council have the final say?
It's more than just the planning commission that looks at the plats.
Mhm.
There's a group of individuals that looks at plats.
Do you know what the name of that group is?
It's listed in the land development regulations.
Mhm.
I know the chief of police is on it, the chief of the fire department is on it, a member of planning is on it, the planning individual from the town is on it.
Okay. Okay, all right. So, say you have those 3 applications, or you have those 3 openings, and you have, say, 10 people, you have 10 applications. Now, how do you go about choosing those 3 out of those 10 applications?
I have looked at if they're a member of the town,
Mhm.
if they live within town limits. I'll look at their education or their desire and how that fits in with where our needs are.
Mhm.
Right now, we aren't very diverse, so that was one of the things we were looking for.
Okay, all right. Which I'd like to say to the mayor, I think that you probably, I would think that we need to have some type of rules and regulations about who goes on that committee. I mean, if it's on the first come, first served basis, you know, I could go to the alley and get Donald, and I could get Chief J. Bear, and we could be on the committee. And, you know, I mean, there needs to be some type of regulations and rules about being on. Are they actually appointed? Who are they appointed by?
Council.
The council does appoint them. Okay, all right. So it doesn't, okay.
I just make a motion.
Mhm.
Everybody here has their applications, their resumes.
Mhm.
If they don't agree with what I'm recommending, they can do something different.
Right, okay, all right. And you said the next meeting is when you're gonna present the applicants?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And it's just whoever's gonna be the most qualified out of those applicants? Or, I just don't you know, one person picking 3 people out of 10 people without,
It's 3 out of 5, and I have conversations, it's just
Right.
not me
okay.
saying this is what I'm gonna do.
Right, okay, all right. Thank you. The next thing, I had actually filed a verbal, this was not written, this was a verbal complaint about 402 Zion Circle, and that would be Hamp Black's house that no one lives in. And there's actually 2 dilapidated storage buildings and a dog lot behind the house, which I think the ordinance says that the dog lot has to be 150 square feet per dog, and which it's not. And I was talking to Tim Striss, and I had done some other things with Tim and filed some written complaints, and he come to the shop to let me know how it was going on that, and that's when I told him about the 2 dilapidated buildings and the dog. So he says, he comes back later and he tells me, he says that the town of Central has no jurisdiction over the railroad property. And I said, okay. And he said, all those are on the railroad property. And I know it comes all the way back up. I own a piece of property out there, and it comes all the way up to the back porch. So I know that's true. So after he told me that, I went to see Mike Durham. And Mike Durham runs Mike Durham's Automotive. So he had several cars that was on railroad property out there, and the town made him move those cars. So if the town does not have any jurisdiction over railroad property, were they just bullying Mike to make him move them? Because they told him if he didn't move them, this is what we're going to start doing. And while I was talking to Mike, I went out there to talk to Mike, and I asked him, I said, did someone actually from the railroad company call you and tell you to move the cars? And he said, no. He said it was just the town. And he said, and while we're talking, he said, when I opened my business up here, he said, I wanted to put a sign up hanging off the building. And he said that I could not do that. It had to be flat against the building. And so Mike says, well, what about Central Station Cafe? And they said, well, that falls under the grandfather clause. It can be there. So we were standing close to a window, and Mike says, how about looking up there? And he points uptown, and there's a big ice cream sign bolted onto the side of the building. Do you know, is that an ordinance that you can't have? I've tried to look at them, but you can't have a sign hanging off of your building.
I don't know. I can look into it for you.
Okay, and it's really, the sign doesn't bother me, the vehicle doesn't
Talking
bother
about
me.
equal
But what,
application law.
that's the thing that pisses me off about down here, one person to say one thing and one to say something else.
Okay.
And it's like the paid employees and the council are two completely separate entities. And you know, the paid people do what they want to do, and actually y'all are the ones that are supposed to be running the show down here and not the paid people. Y'all are supposed to be, telling them how to go. So, and one other thing I'd like to bring up would be Dean Martin. Dean Martin, we have lived in Central our whole life. We're the same age. I've known him since first grade. He had always told me that he was going to retire when he turned 62 years old. So he's not 62 yet. And I'm not sure what transpired and how all these things work down here. But I'm assuming that he told Philip, he gave Philip maybe a 2 weeks notice. The council person that represents water and sewer, would that be you, Harry? You do that? When Dean turned in his resignation papers, did Philip Michoud contact you that day?
No,
Did he ever contact you about that?
no.
So someone that has worked here for decades, that close to 62 years old, you cannot tell me that somebody down here did not piss him off royally. For him to walk out the door, take a job making $15,000 a year less than what he is making here. And you know, maybe some people don't feel comfortable talking to Philip, and they need, anytime someone like that that's been here forever, you know, they need to, Harry should have been told, and then Harry should have talked to him and said, hey, is there something wrong? Is there something we can do? What can we do to accommodate you until you reach 62? Now, I realize if it's somebody that's been here 6 months and they late every day and whatever, I understand that. But somebody like Dean that's been here forever, he should have gotten a little more, I'm not sure what happened to him or why he did it. I didn't ask him, but that would have been the first thing. If I'd been Philip, the first thing I would have done was called Harry and say, hey, Harry, Dean says he's going to be quitting. You might want to speak to him.
Kind of interrupt you there.
Go right ahead.
He did tell me, I don't know if Philip told me or not, I don't remember.
Right.
But I knew Dean was resigning, and then Philip had talked him into staying on.
Mm-hmm.
And I had talked to him for every time I saw him to get him to try to stay on. He had plans somehow or another, and then it was extended. Maybe Philip can really update us on why it didn't work out. He, for something to do with the state, he couldn't retire and get full benefits or
Right.
something. I don't
Right.
know the details. But then it was a shock to me when he did retire, because
Right.
I thought he was staying at least another month or two.
Right,
But,
exactly, yeah.
But I tried my best to get him to stay, and it was
Okay.
up to him
Okay, right,
to leave.
right.
He left on his own terms for it. I
Right,
know.
exactly, yeah. And I was just wondering, you know, that was, someone that's been here forever like that
Yeah.
needs to be treated, you know.
He was, as far as I know. He never
Okay.
said anything to me about being
Right.
mistreated.
Right.
And I felt a little bit like he mistreated us by leaving. That's the
Right,
way
I
felt.
understand.
Keith, we appreciate your comments.
Okay. And can you find out to me about the railroad property?
sir, I will.
And the other thing I wanted to say about, if the town of Central doesn't have jurisdiction on the railroad property, then two guys can stand up there on Main Street on the railroad tracks and smoke a joint every day and wave at the cars going by, if the town of Central has no jurisdiction on the railroad property.
I see your point. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Next item on the agenda is receipt and disposition of petitions. Mr. Michoud, anything to be aware of there?
None at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Reports from council committees, planning, Ms. Bowers.
Planning will have a meeting next Tuesday evening at 6:30. And I would also like to move that we approve Alexandria Elliott and Judy Griffin to the Main Street Advisory.
Motion on the table is to appoint Alexandria Elliott and Judy Griffin to the Main Street Advisory Committee. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? None opposed? Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Bowers?
No, sir.
Thank you. Streets and Public Safety, Mr. Moss, please.
Nothing to report at this time, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Finance and Marketing, Ms. Chapman?
Yes, the sewer revenue looks really good this month. We are, in the black, $129,840. Our sanitation revenue, is good. We are $20,970, in the black. Our water has improved. We are $76,376 in the red, which is an improvement. And then we have the general fund. We are in the red there, $403,378. And with the knowledge that our town administrator has, I'm going to defer to him to see if he might be able to shed some light on those two areas.
You were concerned about the general fund, is that the one? Yeah. We did a deep audit into that account, see what was going on. And what happened was back in December is when we normally transfer money over that we have in holding into that account that you're looking at. And we didn't transfer that money over, so it doesn't show up on this report. I discussed it with Josh and told him not to worry about transferring the money over because there's only 2 months left in this budget year and it'll zero out in a couple of months. But we were using the money in the holding account to pay the bills. We just didn't move it over into this account so it would show up. So we're fine. You actually have about I looked at it a couple days ago before, well, let's see, today's Monday. I looked at it Friday before I left work. We're actually 250 in the black in that account. So,
Okay.
but it'll zero itself out. We'll start out at zero in just a couple months. So I told him not to mess with it.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Recreation, Mr. Dill, please.
Yes. I'd like to talk a little bit about the disc golf tournaments that we had. We had one this past weekend for amateurs, and we have one next weekend for professionals. Just to let you know that as part of that, we did ask for Sheriff's Department to patrol Sanders Road on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to help keep traffic safe there. Also, at those tournaments, the only people that can use Sanders Roads are the people that are participating in the tournaments. All the fans are asked to park behind the recreation and then walk down to that, so that cuts down on traffic there as well. This past weekend, had a great turnout. After each of those major tournaments, they do surveys. Haven't gotten all the numbers crunched yet, but from the amateurs, it looked like that they spent about $120 per person over the 3 days that they were here, which comes out to about $10,800. The professionals, it's an even higher because they're not driving home. They're staying here in this area, so all their eating and everything is in this area. And last year, Tom, was like $32,000 or something like that we estimated that they spent. So two very good things that happened. One that happened last weekend, one that will happen this coming weekend, bringing a lot of traffic and people to spend money in our town. So those are good things. I wanted to report on that.
Good.
Also, we have more events that are happening at Bolick Field and events that require different needs. And so I'm requesting that we take $5,000 from the hospitality fund and that we install electrical box at the scoreboard for special events, and then upgrade the panel box that's near the caboose for the same thing, so that when we have farmers markets and unity and community, other kinds of things like that, we can do those things safely and really exploit that area. So So I'm making a request that we spend $5,000 from hospitality fund to update electrical box at scoreboard and the panel box that is near the caboose.
Is there a second?
Second.
So a motion and second is to request $5,000 from the hospitality fund to install electrical box at scoreboard for special events and upgrade the panel box near the caboose for events. Any discussion on that? I know we talked about it at work session last week. Any further discussion?
Is those gonna be on the two spots that we're gonna do, Tom?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But it'll be enough to pull each side. We're making sure, when I talk with the electrical contractors, that we will have dedicated circuits so that we'll have plenty of power to run whatever needs we have, like the movie nights and the unity and community, some of the other things that are coming up this year.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Oh, one other thing, I just wanted to show y'all, this is the
Looks heavy.
trophy for the disc golf tournament. So, Grand Central Station, so, playing up on our, being the train town, stuff like that. So that's what we get. So
That's great.
I want y'all to see that.
Thank you. Anything else, sir?
That's all.
Thank you, sir. Enterprise, Mr. Holliday, please.
Yes, sir, thank you. For the month of April, the Water and Sewer Department completed 178 work orders, which was about, I don't know, 20 to 30 less than the month before, and they had had about 3 or 4 months of 200 or more. Glad to see that down. We had, on the 20th, disconnects were done on the water meters of 37, and for non-payment, 32 of these were reconnected with payment, which is not a bad number between the two, but we'd still like to see that stay down. But it has risen a little bit. It probably with students leaving, it'll probably rise again for the next couple of months. So we'll have to kind of roll with that. We have a request for $75,000 from the Sewer Reserve Fund for the Church Street Waterline project. I'd like to make that in the form of a motion. Request for $75,000 from the Sewer Reserve Fund for the Church Street Water Line Department. We've had problems with water line on Church Street for many years. I've been here over 60 years, and it seems like every year we have problems on Church Street with old water lines and different things breaking and all that. So it's a necessity. We don't want to put any money out on, but we have to.
Second.
Motion on the table is to request $75,000 from the Sewer Fund, Reserve Fund for the Church Street Water Line Project. Any discussion? Mr. Administrator, could you just give us a 30-second overview of the project, just so that we're aware?
That project starts at the railroad tracks, and then it goes down Church Street, and I think it heads towards Amanda Court. The original project was to go all the way to Amanda Court, but since the prices of things have gone up, we've scaled it back twice. So it's probably going to get maybe 3/4 of the way there, we're hoping. I can go ahead and give you an update on the water line project, because that's on my list of things to do, so I've already opened up that subject. We put it back out on bid again. As I told you before, we only had one bid. So the grants people really wanted more than one bid to compare before they decided to either help us fund it to try to just get to the scaled back version. We're about $500,000 short of the scaled back version. So we put it back out on bid. The bid should come back first part of June. Hopefully we'll have more than one bid, and we'll be able to do some comparison and then try to get this thing, get some ground turned up and get that new water line in there. But the reason, I think we got to get back to the reason why y'all are getting ready to vote. We're about $500,000 short. We've talked to the two funding groups, agencies. Neither one of them had really committed to helping fill that gap. They said, well, we'll wait and see. So it always helps when we can go back to them and say, hey, we're willing to throw a little bit more money in if you'll help finish up getting to the fully funding the 1.9 million, which is what we're trying to get to. So we're hoping that this is a little carrot that we can dangle and let them know that we're putting a little bit more skin in the game.
Thank you. Any other questions or further discussion? Motion is to use $75,000 from the sewer reserve fund for the Church Street water line project. All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Holliday?
That's all.
Thank you, sir. Tourism and Economic Development, Mr. Hayes is not here today. He is taken away from his 9 to 5, which is not really 9 to 5. It's a lot more than that. But so I'm just going to talk about the first resolution, which is 06132022. I'm going to make a motion that we approve resolution 5, or if the date's wrong. Resolution 6/13/2022, which is timeless events. Essentially what this is a wedding reception, and they are looking to close off that road. What's that road in front?
Bank Street.
Main Bank.
Bank.
What is it?
No.
Broad Street is what they want.
Broad Street.
Broad Street, thank you. So Broad Street and, it's right there on there, sorry. To close off Broad Street and to allow some dining and beverage service there for that, from the hours of 5 o'clock and 11 o'clock on May 28th. So that's the resolution. I've made a motion for that. Is there a second?
Second.
So we have a motion to allow outside dining on 115 Broad Street on May 28th, hours 5 to 11. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. The second item on Councilman Hayes' agenda was to request funds to get us ready for the farmer's market. You all received an email today from Councilman Hayes. If you haven't had a chance to see that, take a look at that. He provided a budget for that. And so he is asking, and I will make a motion to utilize $6,000 from hospitality fund to support our farmer's market, get some infrastructure needs in place there. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is to spend $6,000 from hospitality tax to support farmers markets. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. New business? No new business, no old business. Introduction and consideration of new ordinances, policies, proclamation, and resolutions. We're going to move to the first reading of ordinance 06132022, which is, and we're going to specifically vote for those pertaining only to 18 fund, which is sanitation. So that, again, that's the reading of ordinance 6/13/2022 BU. I have a recusal statement from Ms. Bowers. So again, our making a motion to approve on first reading ordinance 06132022 BU pertaining only to 18 fund sanitation for our budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is to approve on first reading ordinance 06132022 BU pertaining only to 18 fund, which is our sanitation fund. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval on first reading? That's unanimous. We'll also discuss the reading of first reading of ordinance 06132022 BU for remaining funds containing funds 10, 12, 13, 20, 30, 32, 33, 35, 40, 60, 71, 80. Did I get all that? Okay. Those are all funds non-sanitation related. So do I have a motion?
Make a motion we accept on first reading ordinance 061320,
I should have done that.
22 BU for remaining funds containing 10, 12, 13, 20, 30, 32, 33, 35, 40, 60, 71, and 80 funds.
Thank you.
Hike.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the table is to approve on first reading ordinance 06132022 BU for remaining funds containing 10, 12, 13, 20, 30, 32, 33, 35, 40, 60, 71, and 80. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. That's unanimous. Now move to first reading of ordinance 06132022, which is the rec budget. I'll entertain a motion there.
I move that we adopt on first reading, ordinance 06-13-2022, the rec budget.
Second.
Motion on the table is to approve on first reading ordinance 06132022, which is the Recreation Department budget. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Next on the agenda is first reading of policy number 06132022, which is base rates. Inside your packet, you'll see the base rates there. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt first reading of policy 613-2022 base rates.
Second.
Motion on the table is to approve on first reading of policy 06132022 base rates. Is there any discussion? Mr. Michu, I hate to put you on the spot. Would you just walk us through that just briefly?
Which one?
The base rates.
Let's see, water, I'm requesting a 10-cent increase, and then on the sewer, it's a 44-cent increase from the county, so that's just a pass-through for us. We're gonna collect it and send it to Pickens County, and then I'm requesting a 10-cent increase for sewer.
Any other questions or further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Next on the agenda is first reading of policy 06132022 IFS. These are impact and tap fees, specifically impact and tap fees for developers that are coming in and developing in our community that would charge them increased rates for water, sewer, police, fire, sanitation, and recreation impacts. So as we grow, this will give us an opportunity to raise some funds from developers coming into town. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we adopt on first reading policy 613-2022 IFS.
Second.
Motion is to approve on first reading policy 06132022 IFS. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Thank you. We have, next up is a resolution 05092022, which is to appoint Anna Brown as a ministerial recorder for the town of Central for a term of 2 years. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution 5-09-2022 2022 AB.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the table is to approve Resolution 05092022AB, which is to appoint Anna Brown as ministerial reporter for the town for a period of 2 years. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Last up is Resolution 05092022EE, which is to appoint Elena Ellis as ministerial recorder, also for the town of Central for 2 years. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt Resolution 5-09-2022 EE.
Second.
Motion on the table is to approve Resolution 05092022EE, which is to appoint Elena Ellis as ministerial recorder for the town of Central for a term of 2 years. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Administrative reports. I already jumped the gun on that, so my apologies. Thank you for walking us through that. Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We covered the update of the water line, so I'm going to be out the rest of the week at a Schmidt conference. That's I'm on the Workman's Comp Board for Municipal Association, so that's a conference I'm going to be at. That's going to be paid for by the Municipal Association. Just want to make sure you all understand that it's not being funded by the town of Central. That's Municipal Association covering that. And a week from tomorrow, I will be on medical leave for at least 2 weeks. Okay? Any questions from council? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Pursuant to South Carolina Code of Law, Section 3430-4-70, legal section, issue Section 30-4-70A2, I move that we move into executive session to discuss a contract and legal issue.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Thank you. We will be we'll be on recess for executive session. Thank you.
You don't need to stay. I'll wait till everybody leaves.
I've got one.
Okay. I'm gonna leave some stuff right here to the side when you come back. I'll leave this right here.
Oh, yeah.
Because he told me I could go, because y'all work.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy that.